These are the figs, and a friend of mine, Teresa, has been kind enough to give me literally a bucket load. So I thought I'd do some interesting things with them. And these figs I am soaking in balsamic vinegar, and as you can see, there's some at the bottom there. And they're going to soak for about half an hour in total, and then we'll use them. These I've chopped, and I'm just about to soften them. You've got just over half an onion, and you've got half a green pepper, and you've got half a red pepper. And that really is not a difficult thing to do. I'm just going to put some olive oil in the pan and turn it on and put it in. I'm just going to turn the gas down and leave it for about 5 or 6 minutes. And that's all. We'll be using that in a little while. This, as you can see, is, well, the onions are soft, which is what we want. And they have softened a little, but they've still got a shape, because we don't want a sort of puree. And that's what we're going to do. We're just going to turn that off now and let it cool a little bit before we use it. This is fresh basil, and I know it doesn't look fresh, but it really was only picked a couple of hours ago, but it's pretty hot out there. So I want to make a really fresh pesto. So I'm going to pull these off and grind them in this little device here. Now I'm going to put some garlic cloves in, which are pretty yummy. And as you can see, this is ground pretty finely. Into this one, I'm going to grind cashews. And you can see there's quite a quantity of cashews. There. I've got a very fine, slightly gritty, perfect for what we're looking for. I don't want the sort of pesto that goes on pasta. I want something a little bit more with a texture. Now I'm going to put all of this in there. And it really does smell strong. There. And some olive oil. I'm going to use a nice quality olive oil that's light but very zesty. We don't want a mixture that's too wet, because we're putting it onto puff pastry and it will go soggy, and we don't want soggy. And that's it. That is it. Real pesto. That wasn't difficult, that was pretty straightforward, and I just happen to have a friend who's got a garden who gives me wonderful things. But if you haven't, then you can buy the little plants in pots, but you'll need a whole plant. Well, you saw how much I used, but it produces a wonderful perfume, and you don't need a vast amount of it to make something taste wonderful. Right, I've just unrolled the pastry, and of course it comes with a backing paper, and I'm going to take a pair of scissors and cut the pastry in half. Now I'm going to cut them in quarters. You could make them into rounds, but I don't see the point really. They look rather nice in these triangle shapes. Now I spread them out a little bit, and 2 of them I'm going to put the pesto on, but not all the way to the edge. I want the edges so they'll puff up. That's what I'd like. It does smell good, this pesto. If you can't find the time to do pesto, then buy some. It won't taste as good, but if you haven't had fresh pesto, it won't matter because you won't know, will you? And I will put it on all of them. On this one now, round the edge, I'm going to just clip. That will encourage it to puff pretty. And I'm going to put the pesto on all of them. Now, I'm going to put the topping, this topping, on 2 of them. And I'm going to pile it up, but not on the edges. I want to keep the edges fairly clear to give them room to puff. And it just makes them look pretty, that's all. And then on this side, I'm going to add some of these. These will be taken up the mountain, and they will be, in fact, rather sweet and crispy and delightful to go over. They'll make a basis for us to add the fresh Brebbi cheeses on. There you are. Now, it did beat. Right, well, this is going in, and this is also going in. And if you could time 15 minutes. These are particularly decorative with this little thing, and they're crispy, but we'll leave them here a little bit longer. And all of this will go very nicely on our picnic.